We made it! Dirty Bomb 1.0 is officially here. It's been a long time coming, but Dirty Bomb has come out of its open beta period and is now starting its live phase. We definitely couldn't have achieved this without you, our players, so our biggest thanks goes to you. You've been with us through the good times and the Phantom updates, and we really appreciate you being patient with us and sticking around. To commemorate today and see how far the game has come, in the almost 7 years it's been in development, Exedore and Drunk had a little look at the journey Dirty Bomb has taken, right the way from concept to the live game you're playing today. Before this we had a little bit of shaving to do. You can find a link to the full video in the YouTube description. But now, sit back, relax, and enjoy some stories.
Dirty Bomb really started with the desire of recapturing some of the magic that we had in both ET, but we also wanted to really be in charge of our own destiny and the destiny of the game.
We started out with playing a F-ton of Wolfenstein. It was a lot of fun. Most of us had played it, but some of the team hadn't. And we then started replicating Gold Rush and the base mechanics of Wolfenstein in Unreal, so Unreal Engine 3. We thought a lot of other games who were in London or set some maps in London, they would put like a red phone box somewhere and then call it London, and we didn't find that believable because we live here and we're out and about all the time. So we wanted to get something that was a bit truer to what the city actually is. Well, in the earliest days, you had two different teams. You had 5 mercs on one side, 5 mercs on the other, and the two tiers, very much like the Allies versus the Axis. It was that in a nutshell, and ultimately what happened is to run on our min spec, which is the minimum spec for machines, we couldn't have that many characters in memory at once, and we sort of had to limit things. So we reduced it down to 3, which had a lot of other knock-on design changes. The biggest change we had to make was that we had to let any mercs do objectives, which it didn't start that way. Of course, it was only engineers. It was Proxy and Bushwhacker who were the first two. They were the only ones who could do objectives, and it meant that really everybody had to be able to do them, and that's how we came up with objective specialization and letting them do it faster. And it was really tough to get that balance right, but I'm pretty happy with how it turned out in the end.
At the time when we were talking about it, I don't think that we would end up with over 9 million installs. When we were first thinking about it, I don't think we were anticipating the numbers that we ended up getting.
No, I think it's fair to say that we didn't know the requirements. This was part of why we partnered with Nexon. We realized very quickly how much we didn't know, and these are decisions we've since learned that really you've got to get figured out at a very early stage, so that you're providing a good foundation to move forward with. So it's been a lot of trying to catch up in that regard and get that foundation in place while we're already building on top of it. We did a really comprehensive analysis of all the contents of the game with sort of a razor of what we thought was at the quality that we wanted. And it's actually, when we went into open beta, it's why we didn't have all the mercs in. We had a kind of hit list, a Turtle, who was the last of the old school mercs to come out. He was at the bottom of that list because we knew we wanted to rework the shield entirely. And there was Phoenix. His healing pulse wasn't communicating well enough, so we knew we wanted to do lots of VFX. So we had this list of the ones we wanted to improve while we were in beta. So that was probably the biggest change, because obviously we went from having loads of mercs to having very few, which was cool in a way because it gave us a different way to look at the game, a different way to play it.
As soon as it came out of close and went into open, we realized that we made the game for a very small group of people.
Yeah, it's a really common thing in the industry, especially in the early days, where you essentially make the game for yourself, right? We have an idea of what's cool, and then hopefully that'll resonate with people. And ultimately what happened in the alpha to beta period is that our audience changed. It wasn't just VIPs and it wasn't just splash damage. And we realized we weren't, we could reach a lot more people, we could make some changes, and that we had to listen to people in a completely different way. We changed a lot of our processes, and that's really been a journey that hasn't stopped.
It's almost countless learnings that we were able to extract during the beta phase, but I think something that has definitely struck a chord and stuck with us going forward on anything and everything is how important not only feedback is for obvious reasons, but also the KPIs and the metrics behind it.
We're so good at making core gameplay and making a good session experience that, in hindsight, we loved making events, but they were a lot of work for us. The Rogue on Vogue event was always our classic because, it was one of our most successful events. We really enjoyed working on it, but it was a lot of bespoke work, and it was not easy for us to reproduce any of that. When we had the idea to, have the community actually affect the lore of the game, that was something the team was super excited about, and we were really glad to see the community sort of, take that on board and run with it, even if Proxy won. Hashtag Team Stoker, all that. But that's the passion that we want to see, even when people are upset when Stoker loses, right? Like, people being upset about something like that is still a form of passion. It's still great to see that as a developer.
Splash Damage has this repertoire of AAA box titles. Running a live service or a live game, it is really all about actually giving the player what the player wants, and it is never static, and content will evolve and change as the user base evolves and changes. You also have to realize that you'll never be able to please everyone at the same time. That is one of the things that is probably the most difficult about box product versus a live product.
Culturally, for us as a studio, it's been super interesting to be able to just get player feedbacks really quickly, because you have a lot of, when you're talking about creative matters, and this is something that art has to deal with a lot, because it's very subjective. And with a box product game that you might be working on for 2, 3, even more years, you have these discussions as a team and a lot of different opinions because you haven't announced it. But with a live game, you can just put stuff out. You can be, does this merc look cool? The players will tell you pretty quickly. It's been really, really eye-opening.
In order to bring DB to 1.0 and beyond, it was important for us to make sure we kind of address specifically what is in our DNA as a studio. We believe in building friendships and playing with your friends together. Up until now, we didn't have a proper facility for that. However, with Faceit, we think it's in a better state now, and definitely touches down on what is most important to us as game developers.
Yeah, we think it's a lot better because it gives a lot more control to set up tournaments, set up leagues, a lot of other things. Because I know we had these things in the game previously, it simply wasn't meeting our standards. That's one of the reasons why we did it, and one of the reasons why we wouldn't be 1.0 without getting something like that in there, so you can take the game and breathe a new life into it, the same way the community did with enemy territory. We want that to be a possibility with Dirty Bomb.
Well, hope you guys enjoyed the trip down memory lane and some of the more interesting information or stories from the last few years of development.
Yeah, it's been interesting talking about the various thresholds we've been over the last 7 years, because as we approach 1.0, and a massive one that's kind of been a long time coming.
Absolutely. So we really hope you enjoyed the update, and see you guys in game.